I'm here with two of my dear friends, the Reverend Curford Dixon. He's the pastor of the Trinity Missionary Baptist Church of Kansas City, gifted preacher, gifted singer. I'm also joined by somebody that I'll call a freedom fighter. He has been around this area, this community. He is the bishop of the Metropolitan Churches of Christ, international faith-based organization that has been blessing folks for just eons. And I'm grateful for their time, grateful for their stories, and I want them to talk to us about their experience with COVID. Both of these young men have been there, done that, and they're back to tell about it.
Well, let me tell you my experience. I attended a funeral back in March of this year, and where I believe I contracted it from, because there were a lot of people that were there that had contracted this COVID-19. But at any rate, it was on a Saturday, of course, back in March. As I said, my wife and I attended the funeral together. When she got up, she said, honey, I want you to take me to the hospital, in which we did. We took her to the hospital, and naturally they took our temperature. Hers was right at 99.7, mine was like 96.6. They made me wait in the car. But at any rate, she was in there, I don't know, about 3.5 hours. They came out and told her they diagnosed her with what they called viral syndrome. Sent us home, and that was fine. That was on a Tuesday. But that Wednesday, I started feeling bad myself. That Wednesday evening, I was fatigued. I was nauseated. I couldn't even drink water. It was nasty to me. I began to lose my sense of smell, and that week just looked like it went downhill. Well, I think about that Friday. Her doctor called her, doctor's office called her and asked her how did she feel. And she said, well, me and my husband have been in the bed since Tuesday, since Wednesday, and they told us to both mask up, glove up, and come to the office to be tested for COVID. That was on a Friday afternoon. Amen. And then that Sunday, we were sitting watching TV, and we got a phone call from the health department of Kansas City, Kansas. And they told us both of us had been diagnosed with with this COVID. Well, in that meantime, our temperature was still up under 100, but it was pretty high, like 99 point whatever. The fatigue set in, the nauseating set in, diarrhea set in, amen. And I had begun to lose weight because I couldn't eat anything. I believe we had what you called moderate COVID, that they told us to stay quarantined for 14 days, and then we had to come back in again to take the test to see where we were at.
Yeah, so both of you actually experienced some pretty severe symptoms, but you kind of made it through. Both of you are tested negative now, and you're starting to resume normal activities. Bishop Tindall, talk about your journey a little bit.
All right, what happened to me is, now before they start talking about this COVID-19, so there was a gentleman who passed away in Omaha, and the family, because I had a long-term relationship with the family, asked me to come to preach the funeral. Right. And I did that. I mingled with a lot of people from, particularly from places like from overseas. I mean, they had come in for the funeral, China and other places, south from Asia. And I mingled with them for a long time. I did stay overnight. I got up early, 6 o'clock in the morning. I said, I'm gonna make this journey back to Kansas City. I made the journey back to Kansas City. I came home. I got into bed because I started being very, very cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked my wife to give me some more blankets. So I hovered in the blankets for a while, and about noonday, she came and she said, maybe I ought to take your temperature. And I said, well, I don't think I got a temperature. She took my temperature, and it was 104.
Wow.
And she said, we better go to the hospital with this. We're gonna pack you down in ice. We think we can get the temperature down. I said, okay, that'll be fine. My wife was there with me, and my son and several others. And so they packed me down in ice. I mean, ice, all kind of ice. And about 2 hours later, my temperature went down to 98. Went down to about 98. The ER doctor said, well, your temperature's gone down. We're going to send you home. You'll be all right. Going to give you some prescriptions. About 3 o'clock in the morning, I didn't know if I was going to live or die. And so I said, hey, you better get me back to the hospital. So they
got you back. How long did you stay in the hospital?
I was at the hospital the first time. I was in there about 7-8 hours. Second time I was in there 7 days, and they put me in one of these rooms, and I couldn't. And all of a sudden, I tried to cough and I couldn't breathe. It seemed like elephants was on my chest. I was trying everything I could to breathe. And so the only thing that saved me, the only reason I'm living today, is my wife hollered and screamed. And she started howling and screaming. All the doctors came in, and from the ER, they came in and gave me oxygen, and then they put me on a ventilator. Back, told my wife I didn't have the flu. They got some kind of virus that they don't know what kind of virus this is.
Yeah, but both of you are alive today. Praise the name of our God. But there's some lessons I think that we have to learn from this, and I think you all might be the best messengers. Kind of give Kansas City and beyond some lessons about COVID that you think they should know, especially as we consider reopening and moving back to whatever normal is.
Well, I think when a person has a temperature of 104 and a half and high temperatures, I think that I think institutions of healing ought to be cautious about sending them home. I think that, and particularly people of color, for some reason or another, I was in the hospital, and this is wide open space with a lot of other people's in there, and one gentleman had a little heart palpitation. They admitted him. I had 104-degree temperature, sent me home. The white gentleman they admitted, he sent me home. So I think
agree.
they ought to be cautious about, just dismissing.
I agree that they have to be more cautious about health disparities and not just dismiss people because of the race or what they think their income level might be,
Right.
or
Right.
whatever they assess. They assess possibly incorrectly. Curford, what should we learn?
One thing I've been trying to promote since this ordeal is that we should mask up. I've been saying that because you get it through your respiratory system. Keep these masks on because they don't have a cure yet, a vaccine for it. And people just, you breathe it. So I'm just thinking that masking is vitally important. People must understand you can carry COVID with no symptoms. So I want to put that out there. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you.
No, thank you all for your transparency and your willingness to bless Kansas City and beyond with your story. We'll continue praying with y'all and
Thank you.
I thank God for your leadership and your friendship. God bless you.
Thank you, my brother.